Okay, hello and welcome back to Musical Math. Put the guitar down, be right with you. Okay, everybody, please take out your math books to lesson 1.4. Okay, and this lesson is called Round Numbers. I will read the Unlock the Problem with you on page 23. Follow along, please. During May 2008, the Mount Rushmore National Monument in South Dakota welcomed 138,202 visitors. A website reported that about 100,000 people visited the park that month. Was the estimate reasonable? Okay, reasonable basically means that the estimate makes sense. Okay, so first look over to your little blue rectangle next to the problem with the two bullets. Okay, and it says to underline what you are asked to find and circle the information that you will use. Okay, so take a second, look over your word problem again, and let's underline what we're asked to find. Now that's pretty basic. Go to the question, go to the last sentence. Okay, was the estimate reasonable? So let's underline that. Okay, and what are we going to use? We're going to circle the number 138,202. And then we're going to circle 100,000. Okay? Now, let's recall what an estimate is. An estimate tells you about how many or about how much. It is close to an exact amount. You can round a number to find an estimate. So remember, an estimate isn't an exact amount. It's a number that's near the exact amount. Okay, one way to do this is by using a number line. To round a number line to the nearest 100,000, find the 100,000s it's between. Okay, and if you look, you have two blanks there. It says blank is less than 138,202, which is less than blank. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to find the numbers that would go on that line. Okay, 100,000 is our place value. That's the largest. So let's do that. We have 138,000. So let's make our first estimate or rounded number 100,000. So we're going to put a 100,000 on our first blank. And then the last blank, the second one, 200,000. Because 138,000 falls somewhere in between 100,000 and 200,000. Okay? And then we're going to use the number line to find which 100,000, 138,202 is closer to. Okay, so you have your number line there. Starts at 100,000, moves to the right. We have 150,000 at the midway point. And then to the far right side, we have 200,000. So if we put a dot where our 138,202 would fall, it falls in between 100,000 and 150,000. Actually, right before the fourth marker, which would be 140,000. Okay? And I'm going to show that to you on the chart right behind me. Okay, here we go. There's my number line. Okay? And as you can see, we plotted our point of 138,202. Here's 100,000. Here's 200,000. Each line represents another 10,000. Now, if you notice by looking at this number line, 138,202 is closer to 100,000. Okay? It's further away from 200,000. So, is this reasonable? Well, it's closer to 100,000. Therefore, your answer would be a reasonable estimate of 100,000. So, basically, you would fill it in here. It says 138,202 is closer to 100,000 than 200,000. So, 100,000 is a reasonable estimate for 138,202. Makes sense. It's not perfect, okay? But it's definitely closer to 100,000 than it is 200,000. Therefore, your estimate would be reasonable. Okay? Now, there is another way that you can do this. So let's go over to page 24 for a second. I'm going to read another problem for you. Use place value. Mount Rushmore is located 5,725 feet above sea level. About how high is Mount Rushmore above sea level to the nearest 1,000 feet. So to round the number to the nearest 1,000, find the 1,000 that it's in between. So we have 5,725. Okay, the thousands place is 5, so we're going to start with 5,000. Now that's less than 5,725. So if 5,000 is our low estimate, let's use 6,000 as our high estimate, because 5,725 falls in between those two numbers, 5,000 and 6,000. Now what you want to do is you want to look to the right digit, the digit to the right of the thousands place. Okay, so if we look at the thousands place, which is 5, look to the right. The digit is a 7. Okay, now think to yourself, the digit in the hundred place is a 7. So 5,725 is closer to 6,000 than 5,000. So Mount Rushmore is about 6,000 feet. That would be your estimate. Now let me show you how we did this. Here's how we have it set up in the book. 5,000 is less than 5,725, which is less than 6,000. Remember, our number falls in between 5,000 and 6,000. Okay? Now, when we look at the 5,000, because that's what we're concerned with, we want to round that off. Look one digit to the right. It's a 7. Now, there's a little rule, okay? If the digit to the right is 1 to 4, or actually even if it's 0 to 4, you would keep the digit the same and change the remaining digits to 0. For instance, if this was 5,125, we would round it off to 5,000, because anything that's 1 to 4, or even if, like I said, that's a 0 also, we're going to leave this number alone and round everything to 0. But in this case, our number is a 7. And a 7 falls in between 5 and 9. Okay? And if it's 5 to 9, if this second digit is 5 or greater up to 9, we're going to increase the digit that we want to round by 1. And then change the remaining digits to 0. So in this case, this is a 7. It falls in the 5 to 9 place. So we're going to increase our underlined digit, which is a 5, to a 6, and then turn everything else to zeros. So in this case, we're going to round this number, 5,725, we're going to round it up to 6,000. Okay? And that's how you round numbers. Remember, take the number to the right, the digit to the right, 0 to 4, we're going to keep the digit the same, everything else becomes zeros. 5 to 9, we're going to increase the digit by 1, and everything else is zeros. Okay? And those are two ways that we can round numbers. I hope that was helpful, and we'll be back with another musical math lesson in a day or so. Good night.